Hello and welcome. This is the news on NTA International, and I'm Naja'atu Tijani. But first, the headlines. President Buhari writes Senate seeks approval for external borrowing to finance 2020 budget as revised edition passes second reading. Ministry of Justice opens bid on recovered funds. Civil society groups to monitor spending. Nigeria Governors Forum to leverage $1 billion COVID-19 crisis facility in collaboration with Ministry of Finance. And now the news in detail. President Muhammadu Buhari has written Senate requesting the approval of external borrowing of $5.5 billion to finance the revised 2020 budget. The executive communication explained that the loan will also be used to finance priority projects of the federal government of Nigeria and to support state government projects. The funds are to be sourced from the International Monetary Fund, World Bank, African Development Bank and Islamic Development Bank. In commemoration of the 2020 Children's Day, the Senate has reaffirmed legislative commitment, ensuring that all Nigerian children of school age are enrolled. Meanwhile, Senate has begun consideration of the revised Appropriation Act Amendment Bill of 10.509 trillion naira from 10.594 trillion. 5 bills passed first reading, including the National Transport Commission Bill. Meanwhile, the 10.509 trillion naira revised 2020 appropriation bill forwarded to the National Assembly by President Muhammadu Buhari has passed second reading at the House of Representatives. Leading the debate on the bill to amend the 2020 Appropriation Act, House Leader Alhassan Ado Doguwa stressed the need for quick passage in view of prevailing economic circumstances due to COVID-19, which has led to a drop in the price of crude oil in addition to the significant reduction of Nigeria's production quota. House members, in contributing to the debate, acknowledged present realities but expressed reservation on the recurrent expenditure and the benchmark for the revised budget, which is $25 per barrel. The bill scaled second reading and was referred to Finance and Appropriations Committees for further legislative action. The Speaker, Femi Gbajabiamila, brought to the notice of members a presidential request for approval of a $5.523 billion external borrowing plan. A resolution on the need for security agents to enforce the interstate travel ban imposed by government was adopted following a motion from Minority Leader Ndudi Elumelu. The Madagascar herbal drug has been received by Nigerian health authorities with 2 varieties for prevention and cure being evaluated. The Minister of Health, Dr. Osagi Ihanire, said this during the daily briefing of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. The minister advised all persons who have chronic illnesses, including cancer, to follow protection guidelines against contracting coronavirus, as fatalities still revolve around those with underlying health conditions. Chairman of the task force urged chief medical directors of hospitals not to neglect patients who present other ailments apart from the coronavirus. He said the PTF recognizes the need to boost health infrastructure and non-pharmaceutical response to the coronavirus pandemic.
We are, not surprisingly, worried about the increasing number of COVID-19 confirmed cases. First, because every life matters, but also because the capacity of our health system to cope. Nigeria presently has well over 112 treatment and isolation centers in the 35 states and FCT with well over 5,000 beds. But not all states have made it up to at least 300 beds prescribed for isolation and treatment.
Statistics have shown that there is a drastic drop in the percentage of attention being paid to other ailments not related to COVID-19. This situation is made worse by the fact that federal tertiary institutions have been mentioned among those rejecting patients for fear of COVID-19. This is not acceptable, and we are saddened by this development.
Nigeria Center for Disease Control Chikwueze Ihekweazu said 880 health workers have been trained nationwide on testing for the coronavirus.
So if I was a medical laboratory scientist, I would be honing up my molecular diagnostic skill sets, because you'll be expected, there'll be a lot of demand for those skills across the country as we focus on building up this capacity across the country.
Strategy that the PTF will be putting in place over the coming weeks. This fits in with our move towards ensuring greater community mobilization. And this strategy involves an aggressive campaign to ensure that everyone in the community is armed with the information they need to stop the spread of COVID-19 and to protect themselves.
The ministry so far has produced video and radio jingles in the following areas. 1. General information on COVID-19, use of face masks, burial protocols, testimonials by COVID-19 survivors, mass gatherings, among others.
And still on the economic impact of COVID-19, President Muhammadu Buhari Thursday said global solidarity was the hope of humanity and called on developed countries and international financial institutions to cancel the debts of needy countries, in quote, especially in Africa, to enable them reverse the devastation of COVID-19 on the human race. President Buhari renewed the appeal for debt cancellation for African countries in a virtual meeting tagged High-Level Event on Financing for Development in the Era of COVID-19 and Beyond, convened by Canada, Jamaica, and the Secretary General of the United Nations. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has announced 389 new confirmed cases and 5 deaths in Nigeria. One new state, Kogi, has reported a case within the last 24 hours. A breakdown shows that the 389 new cases are reported from 22 states, including Lagos with 256 cases, Katsina 23, Edo 22, Rivers 14, Kano 13, 11 each in Adamawa and Akwa Ibom states. Others are Kaduna 7, 6 Kwara and Nasarawa, 2 each in Gombe, Plateau, Abia, Delta, Benue, Niger, Kogi and Oyo states, while Borno, Ogun and Anambra have 1 case each. As of 27th May 2020, the total number of confirmed cases of COVID-19 stands at 8,733. 2,501 cases have been discharged, while 254 deaths have been recorded in 35 states and the Federal Capital Territory. The Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Godswill Akpabio, has directed immediate temporary closure of the corporate headquarters of the NDDC in Port Harcourt as a result of suspected outbreak of COVID-19. Akpabio also advised all staff currently exhibiting symptoms not to panic, but report to the nearest NCDC center in Port Harcourt for evaluation and possible treatment. The minister assures workers of the commission of further action which would be communicated. Similarly, the Nigeria Governors Forum is to explore a collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning to leverage the approved $1 billion COVID-19 crisis facility by the African Development Bank to meet the needs of Nigerians during the lockdown occasioned by the coronavirus pandemic. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports.
Resolution, which formed major part of the NGF communique in its 9th virtual meeting, was to initiate austerity measures in the areas of health, agriculture and security. The forum endorsed the development of a 3-month plan on the reopening of the economy by the National Executive Council Subcommittee and sustained interface with Presidential Task Force on COVID-19. Nigerian Governors Forum NEC Haddock Committee is also to interface with the Economic Sustainability Committee, headed by the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osibanjo, to incorporate its contributions as a national response to COVID-19 crisis. The NGF pledges to consolidate and strengthen engagement with coalition against COVID-19 in the distribution of palliatives and other interventions to vulnerable Nigerians. The 36 state governors also set up 3-member committee led by Governor Aminu Tambuwal of Sokoto State to engage with the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice on the recently passed Executive Order 10/2020 on governance at the subnational level. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
Today, 28th May 2020, marks the birth of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, with the signing of the Treaty of Lagos, 28th May 1975. The Speaker, ECOWAS Parliament, Sidi Mohamed Tunis, notes that 45 years down the line, ECOWAS member states are better integrated. He emphasized the need for member states to redesign budgets and national programs to reflect current realities as the region works in unity to emerge stronger, especially when the pandemic is eventually contained. Founded with the vision of a regional community fostering interstate economic and political cooperation, the ECOWAS mandate was revised in Lagos in 1993 and has since been on the path of adopting a common market and custom union, preventing conflict and ensuring good governance and democracy. And we have a special guest, the Speaker of the ECOWAS Parliament, Mr. Sidi Mohamed Tunis, joining us via Zoom to give insight on 45 years of the ECOWAS. You're welcome to NTA International.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Now, 45 years of ECOWAS, how has the journey been so far?
For me personally, despite the challenges, it has been very, very good. Considering where we're coming from 1975, with the revised treaty in 1993, I believe ECOWAS has been very, very useful to all of us in this sub-region, especially so when you take into consideration peace and security and the common market and customs union. I believe ECOWAS has done extremely well.
Now, how are the member states faring amid the COVID-19 crisis?
Well, those are the improvements that we have had, the progress that we have had since 1975. Today, ECOWAS, we can boast of a West Africa Health Organization, WAHO, that is giving advices to all member states, that's giving technical support in terms of training and supply of equipments to booster and strengthen our respective public health institutions. So I believe we should be proud of ourselves for having an institution like that. And as members of parliament, we are giving a lot of support to our various governments in passing legislations that will enable government to move on smoothly with the fight against COVID-19.
Now, despite all this progress, development has still been slow in the region. What do you think is responsible and what it could be the way out?
For me, integration is key in everything that we are doing. And I don't believe this is the time to actually blame anybody. I can only ask for cooperation and collaboration amongst member states. Because at the end of the day, every government, every country in the sub-region is very, very determined towards integration. And we know very well that with full integration, we can prosper as a region, because as it is today, ECOWAS is the best community organization in Africa in terms of free, visa-free travel, in terms of migration, in terms of even caring for the citizens. So I believe ECOWAS, definitely, we have done extremely well for ourselves, and we continue as members of parliament to support our member states to ensure that the development that we are all yearning for move on smoothly.
Want to thank you very much again for joining us, and congratulations on your anniversary.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
That was Speaker of the ECOWAS Parliament, Mr. Sidi Mohamed Tunis. And this is the news on NTA International. More stories after the break.
Make your home the place to be with GoTV's super cool kids channels.
That sounds fun.
From funky friends that'll keep even the little ones busy.
All right, everybody, let's do this!
To learn as you watch educational shows for curious young minds.
You can do some amazing things.
There's plenty for everyone. Tune in to our kids shows and get everything you need to keep the kids entertained and learning the fun way. GoTV, live it, love it.
NTA International News. Africa as it is.
Thanks for staying with NTA International. Now, a steering committee headed by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has been inaugurated to further drive the country's process towards the attainment of a national target of making Nigeria open defecation-free by 2025. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
The term of reference for the steering committee, as enumerated by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, is to mobilize support and resources from all stakeholders at the highest political level, within the private sector and the international partners, for local actors for the implementation of the national sanitation agenda.
So we're embarking on this initiative at a most auspicious time. As our nation confronts the COVID-19 pandemic, we recognize that expanding access to water, to sanitation and hygiene facilities is our most effective weapon against the scourge of infectious diseases. Ensuring the provision of adequate wash facilities in our communities is the cornerstone of our efforts to strengthen the resilience of our public health structures beyond the present challenge of COVID-19. This is the basis of our commitment to ending open defecation and, more broadly, raising the standards in the wash sector.
As noted, progress has been made in the implementation of the Clean Up Nigeria campaign launched in November 2019 as a national initiative towards making Nigeria open defecation free by 2025, with 20 local government areas now certified open defecation free.
No doubt that with the quality of the membership of the steering committee, there will be effective articulation and coordination of the campaign. Let me state rather regrettably that Nigeria still tops the global league of countries in which open defecation is prevalent, with an estimated 47 million of our people indulging in the practice.
There's also the need for legislation, and we're very happy to hear that there's been a first reading in the Senate for this, and I hope going forward that the House of Reps will also take efforts to ensure that we get this legislation, because it's also there in the executive order number 9.
Open defecation, as agreed by all, has negative effect on the health, educational outcome, and the socio-economic life of the society. Community participation and cooperation of all relevant stakeholders is said to be very crucial. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NJ News.
And now, concerning returned funds, the Nigerian government is making good its promise of ensuring transparency in the expenditure of the $311 billion Abacha loot recently returned to Nigeria by the United States government, as the Federal Ministry of Justice pre-qualifies some civil society organizations to monitor spending of the money. Olabode Arewa reports.
The $311 million was returned consequent upon the agreement between Nigeria, the United States of America, and the bailiwick of Jersey that the repatriated funds will be spent on the Abuja-Kano Road, the Second Niger Bridge, and the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. The civil society organizations are to monitor the disbursement and spending of the funds. 16 civil society organizations were pre-qualified out of the 30 who collected bid documents, while one bid was returned.
The government wants to be as transparent as nature can allow. The three governments agreed that there should be involvement of the civil society organization, because we believe that the civil society are also grassroots and they will be able to give independent assessments of what the money is actually used for.
The financial bids submitted by the civil society organizations will be opened on a future date to be communicated to them. In Abuja, Olabodarewa, NTA News.
In its bid to ensure the rights of Nigerians in China are protected following alleged abuse, a joint committee of the House of Representatives is reaching out to stakeholders for input. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The chairman of the Joint Committee investigating alleged rights violations and abuse of Nigerians living in China, which went viral a couple of weeks back, Representative Yusuf Buba says already the committee has received documents from the Chinese Embassy, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and Union of Africans Living in China. The committee noted that human rights violations and abuses are against international conventions and protocols, which is why the House is resolute in its determination to get to the root of the matter.
Foreign Affairs Ministry have had several meetings with the Chinese government, and they have assured Nigerians that the rights of Nigerians will be protected in China and also in every part of the world.
The Joint Committee is made up of members from House Committee on Foreign Affairs, Diaspora, and Committee on Interparliamentary Affairs. Recommendations of the committee will be forwarded to plenary for further legislative action. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Now, the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment, in collaboration with the National Directorate of Employment, is thoroughly optimizing the job creation template of the federal government under the Special Public Works Programme in 774 local governments. This is targeted at mitigating the impact of economic depression occasioned by the COVID-19 global health crisis. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports.
Nigeria has consistently initiated employment strategies through various enterprising skills to meet global best practices in engaging its labor force. Most recent is a special public works initiated to create employment in 774 local government areas of Nigeria.
And we are to be recruited largely from the pool of unemployed, unskilled persons, ordinarily residents in those rural areas.
With a budget size of 42.2 billion naira, the program is marked to provide stipends of 20,000 naira to beneficiaries over a period of 3 months. The Minister of State Labour and Employment, Festus Keyamo, SAN, explains that the criteria for selection of employees will be determined by 11 members committee to be inaugurated across the Federation ahead of execution on the first day of October 2020, and a comprehensive data will be developed to fast-track payment by CBN through verified bank details.
Having reviewed all the recommendations of this interministerial committee, I believe that the selection of the beneficiaries and projects should be a local affair and not to be done from a room in Abuja.
It says federal government has approved the deployment of online facilities to monitor the implementation of the program across the country. The Rural Component Social Intervention Program is the largest that will be carried out by any government in the history of Nigeria. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
And still on COVID-19 interventions, the multi-sectoral fight against COVID-19 has received a boost as the National Health Insurance Scheme has donated personal protective equipment to the Nigeria Police Force. Hamman Jabani reports.
The effort of the National Health Insurance Scheme is in keeping with the desire to contribute to the work of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 and the commitment to maintaining high standards of healthcare delivery services. For the Nigerian Police, one of the government organizations seriously in contact with the public, this support is most deserving and will no doubt go a long way. The items donated include 125 infrared thermometer, 250 packs of disposable face masks, 240 packs of N95 face masks. Others are 500 packs of hand gloves, 500 pieces of white protective suit, and 120 pieces of sprayed pumps.
Many healthcare workers are becoming endangered with this COVID. And we have seen reports that some of the healthcare facilities have been deserted. The healthcare workers are not there. So the National Health Insurance, as part of its response, is to ensure that there is a protection of healthcare workers in all the working places.
Inspector General of Police Mohammed Abubakar Adamu, represented by AIG Operations Austin Ogbolaho, received the items. He expressed appreciation to NHIS for the support and assured judicious use of the items.
Nigerian police personnel are also frontliners in the fight against COVID-19, so we deserve more of this. And it is an opportunity to now talk to members of the public as well as other organizations. That some of these things should also be donated to the police.
The assistance is coming at the instance of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, which is seeking supporting organizations, companies, and individuals in the fight against coronavirus. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari congratulates Governors Aminu Bello Masari of Katsina State as he turns 70 and Governor Dapo Abiodun of Ogun State on his 60th birthday. Joining the state's Executive Council, members of All Progressives Congress and citizens and residents of both states in celebrating their milestones, President Buhari affirms that Governor Masari, who served the country for many years as a legislator and rising to become Speaker, House of Representatives in 2003 to 2007, has a remarkable and credible record of simplicity and humility in public service, with a tendency for bringing harmony and stability into governance. In a statement, the president similarly commends Governor Abiodun's diligence and courage, which graciously translated into winning the 2019 elections. Special advisor to the president on media and publicity in a statement said the president similarly commends Governor Abiodun's discipline, diligence and courage, which graciously translates into winning the 2019 elections, and the steps taken in prioritizing education and healthcare in the state and providing infrastructure that will stimulate more economic activities and reduce poverty. President Muhammadu Buhari condoles with families who lost loved ones in an attack by bandits in Sabon Birni local government, Sokoto State, praying for the quick recovery of those who sustained injury. The president notes that as the world and Nigeria battle the coronavirus pandemic, it is tragic and unfortunate that bandits have remained active in parts of the country, killing innocent people and throwing families into despair. A statement by the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity notes that President Buhari reassures Nigerians that the government is determined to protect them against psychotic mass killers who have no regard for the sanctity of life. And that concludes the news on NTA International. Thanks for watching. I'm Naja'atu Tijani.